5 superpowers. We're going to give them all to you today and teach you how to tap into it and fulfill your potential. We have an amazing, special, yummy guest. Her name is Rebbetzin Tamar Taback, and she's from South Africa. And she's just like this spiritual, mystical, deep, yummy, yummy person. You're going to love her. I'd like to welcome Rebbetzin Tamar Taback, who is founder and the head of Nexus School of Transformation for Women. Rebbetzin, thank you so much for being on the show.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everybody.
We go very deep, very fast. So we're going to start. We want those 5 superpowers. That's why everybody's here, okay? And we want you to teach us not only what they are, but how to access them and how to actually put them into action in our lives. So I want to start. You had said that you want to start, just spend a minute or so explaining what the issue is and what's the block to us having those superpowers. And okay, so. To show the question is, okay, you get it.
So we're going to go really deep, really fast, but we're going to start like 10,000 miles out. So you get the full scope and the full context, and then we're going to go zoom right in there.
So I just wanted to say that guest room is like the most lovely guest room I've ever seen. And I said to you, it looks like a set. Is that a backdrop? And he said, no, it's more guest room. Anyway, okay. All right. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. From Johannesburg, we're all in the same room together these days. Yeah. So first of all, when you say superpowers, I love that word, by the way. What is super and what is power? I feel like we have to define our terms before we even figure out what they are and how to get them. Because when we do, we live on a different vibration and our lives transform around us, and you won't be able to fall asleep at night because you're so happy. Well, that wouldn't be a good thing.
Marie's like, yes.
Too much of a good thing. So first of all, I want to start. I don't know if you ever heard, there's an adorable story, like feminine folklore. I don't know where it comes from. It's not a Jewish story, but it sounds Jewish because it's about a tailor. And there was this man who went to a tailor, and the tailor was a very bad tailor. And the sleeves were one side was too long, and the pants were coming out the funny place, and like the belt was total. It was this really weird tailor. And when the man was trying on the new suit, the tailor's like, that arm is pulling, just like pull your arm in a little bit. And that one, just put your hand out like that and bend your elbow. There you go. Now it fits perfectly. And your leg, just bend your knee and stick out your heel and tilt your hip forward. Okay, now it fits you great. And
yikes.
So I think the place I want to start is, if we're going to get really deep, really fast, whenever people think about what is a woman, what is femininity, what is the woman's role, what's Jewish femininity, there's a lot of subconscious assumptions, subconscious archetypes that have been given to us many times by our family line, by society, sometimes inside a deep desire. We want to be the best mother. We want to be the most supportive wife. And sometimes our inner essence is not being lived out loud. And women are out of touch with who they really are because of all of these sort of external roles or suits that they try to fit into, and they're not tapping their power. Power is truth. Power is essence. Power is who we really are. So when we say feminine power or superpowers, we're not talking about the power that we associate with dominance, with force, with manipulating society. We're talking about coming into truth. And that's the power we're talking about. So how does that resonate with you?
Beautiful, beautiful. Do we have people saying anything?
We're getting actually a lot of hearts on Instagram and on Facebook. So definitely, I think people.
I was just going to tell. No, we do, but I was going to tell Alana, write that down of what she. We can make a meme out of that. It's gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, sorry.
I think a lot of
we'll attribute it to you. Don't worry.
Yeah, a lot of women then feel as though the feminist movement sort of in their mind gave us power, but maybe power not the way we all want it anymore. And I think people are looking for a different power, especially women. So I think this is resonating very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. That's Sarit, right?
Yeah, Sari. Yeah. You
Okay,
can call her whatever the sweetie pie. That you call her sweetie pie, whatever. Okay, go ahead.
yeah. So I think this is kind of important that we started the show this way because for some people, the word power might sound feminist. And really what I'm going to be talking about is so deep. I'm going to be talking about the rise of the divine feminine, the holy feminine, and it is exactly the opposite of feminism. Feminism is actually using power from like a masculine system or an old script of what power is. And it's putting on the pants. Feminism is putting on the pants, which is probably why the world went into such a power imbalance. And marriages, after the post-feminist era, divorce rates rose and women were excited with this new power and new opportunities that they had, but there was a lot of suffering in its wake. So we're trying to figure out how do we balance that out so that we can reclaim our lives, not only the possibilities of our expression, but the possibilities of true intimacy. We don't have to choose one over the other.
It's beautiful. And also people should realize that we're not anti-feminist, or at least I'm not. Somebody needs to turn off their phone. And not anti-feminist, but it's not like, oh, let's go back to how we were in the 1920s. No, we have evolved this way. Hashem has let us evolve this way. He's, created the platform in which we can share ourselves. Maybe we can tap into things we couldn't have otherwise. And we don't know. I'm not a prophet to figure out why this whole history came the way that it did. We're not anti-feminist, standing on the shoulders of what we have gained, and also looking at what we might have lost and taking our power from there. So it's kind of like we're on the cutting edge of the next level of what's available for a woman in her self-expression and in her ability to reach her shalamus, reach her full potential. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead. This is great.
Oh, that was so awesome, Leah.
You're sweet. I'm just thinking off on what you're saying, which is just such a powerful thing for people to own that and to give people permission to unpeel, how am I, how is my role constrained by outside society and what this one thinks I should do and who that one thinks I should be, and an auntie who thinks I should be a businesswoman, and all of these constraints from outside. And what you're talking about, from my understanding thus far, is to look inside and to reach into that deep part of our neshama, of our soul, and to express our femininity from there, which is strong. I don't know that I'm very anxious to hear what you're saying. If it's not power and you're redefining power, is there another word you can give us that we can hang on to that fully expresses what you're saying? Because the word power is so ingrained in my head, in my, of what it means to have power. And it's a Western civilization's determination of what power is, I would guess. What is a word that you would characterize it that would be more accurate of what we can tap into?
So what comes up for me is truth, because when we're in truth with ourselves, we're in power. And I think being a woman today, there's, whether you said whether it comes from society, you should be working and you're staying at home. And then there's the mothers who feel bad about that, and the mothers who, are working and they feel like they should be staying at home. And no matter which way you cut it, we're in this impossible situation of how do I honor these two parts of me? So the reason why I went back to feminism, and I'm so glad you brought that up, that everything unfolds according to the divine plan. And we are sitting on the shoulders of the entire world, the evolution of femininity globally. We're all one, women are all one. As well as sitting on the shoulders of our Masorah as Jewish women, so we're our tradition. So we're looking at it, as Jewish women here, we're looking at it, as a subset, but really it's all part of one big picture that we're experiencing and evolving together. So the reason why
so interesting, Leah, it's so interesting, Rebbetzin, that whenever you see, as you're talking, whenever you say feminism, it sounds so sort of masculine and harsh almost. And then when you say femininity, it sounds so soft and feminine and female. It's so weird because I'm sure there's no difference in the two, but it really comes off different sounding.
Abrasive versus young.
Yeah.
It's true.
Like, I want to be feminine and I want to have femininity, but I'm like, I want to sort of step away a little bit from that feminism of I need to be in control because I'm tired of that. I tell you that all the time. Like, please, I don't want that in my headspace anymore. So it's nice to hear that there's a difference.
So I want to go in deeper on the truth aspect, and then we're going to get to the five things, the five superpowers. So don't you worry, we're getting there. But I want to hone in on the truth, because the truth is like, I hear it and it's like, that sounds wonderful, but like, I've got the dishes to do. I've got a business meeting. I've got with truth, finding my truth. Okay, yeah, I'll put that on my to-do list to do someday. So can you teach us a little bit about what you mean about understanding our own truth and our own? Is it our essence that you're talking about? I'm not. Maybe expound on that, because I'm not following exactly.
So I think we're going to get there when you do the 5 superpowers, but just really unpacking what the question you raised to me previously. Is that when you feel you have to take your pick, there's this package and this package, and they're on a seesaw, and it almost feels like mutually exclusive.
Sure.
So the women like that were at that time when feminism was sweeping the world and that was all emerging, there was a truth there. There was a burning truth there. But the Kabbalists, the mystics, the deep Torah sources teach that before you peel the fruit, there's always that peel before you access the fruit. And many times, I could bring many examples, but many times Hashem sends something to the world and it's in the peel. You just have to peel it. And what that means is you have to sift it. You have to remove the ego layer to get to the soul level. So whereas women are trying to prove that they are also worthy, they also have rights, they also deserve rights, they also have power, the whole foundation of that energy of proving to someone you're already out of truth. You're already out of essence. So it's doomed to fail. But when you start from the inside to resonate, who are you? What do you want? What do you crave? What do you yearn for? Who are you really? What makes you tick? We'll find that this whole setup, it's all a lie. It's not that we can have power and expression and confidence and earning potential and creativity and leadership and influence and fill in the blank, or we could be soft and feminine the way we traditionally think about it, and supportive and nurturing and present in our homes and sitting on the floor with our kids and making homemade gluten-free challah, right? So there's like this setup, like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Like you're. So there was this like, well, let's take power, and then that suffers because the second side has its own skill set. But then there's those women that are thinking, oh my goodness, I don't want to like get caught away with these winds of change and lose old, traditional, solid, tested and true, values of the traditional feminine role, because they want to be married or in a fulfilling relationship and fulfilled with, having children. May God bless everybody who wants children. So we don't have to choose. And when we touch into our inner essence, the truth is expansive and abundant.
You're describing a choice paradigm. What's the alternate paradigm? This is awesome, but what's the paradigm that you're describing that we should be stepping into?
So it's fascinating because the mind, the rational small mind, sees things as either or. Like you said before, okay, I have to do my dishes, I have to do carpool, and let me put on my to-do list there, come into truth. It's like another item.
Right.
Right. And I think this is something so great for women today, because we're high functioning. We're making shava brachas and a shidduch and, developing intimacy. We're doing so much, and it's not one thing. It's everything. It's everything. So truth is defined inside. Nobody tells you what's truth. And I don't mean everyone has their own truth. Like, yes, there is a divine objective truth. And that's really where I'm taking this from, is that God created us. God gave us the Torah. And we may think we understand what the Torah wants of us, but the Torah is a dynamic unfolding. It's a conversation with God. And it's a conversation we're having through our souls, through our lives, through our problems, because problems are just solutions waiting to burst forth. Through the struggle, we get to the greatest growth. So it's a shift. It's not this or that. So the mind likes to categorize and bite size.
Yes.
But,
Okay.
the soul can hold that.
Interesting. Oh, wow. So you're saying it's kind of like it's a mind shift. It's kind of like when you're praying, right? If you pray, oh, yeah, blah, 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 that's one way of praying, or you pray with kavanah, that there's a whole different chapter, a whole different world that's available to you when you're doing it with what's kavanah?
With
intention of whatever. So you're saying that just by recognizing the constraints that we're under and recognizing how we want to have power because everyone tells us we should have this kind of power, you're saying recognizing that in itself is a transformation, is itself an insight that will make people have attached to their truth in a deeper way.
Yes. Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Is she delicious? Is this unbelievable? Okay.
Actually, just two quick shout outs. Sophie24 from Instagram said, Tamar, with lots of, exclamation points. Wonderful to see this. The Hatzlacha sending love.
Okay.
So you got a fan array on. And Debbie on Facebook said she loves the show, the topic. Someone else on Facebook is saying, sometimes we feel like a robot and we're just waiting for light to wake us up.
Wow.
And I think
this is our light. Okay, let's start with the 5. Let's go with number 1. You said as a powerful woman right now. Okay, these are 5 nuggets you can bring. Okay, so these are the 5 superpowers. Let's start with number 1.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to reiterate that word, as Sarah was talking, as you were talking, Leah, the word that comes to my mind is conscious. Like, you're doing the same thing. You're building your family, you're building your career, whatever you're doing, you're just doing it with consciousness. I think that's what's sort of coming out of it for me, just from this whole dialogue.
Powerful.
But
that's
exactly what the Facebook person wrote.
Yeah.
To wake up from feeling like a robot, instead of doing things by rote, to actually have be consciously present as you're doing things. That's really, it's beyond.
It's so true. And actually, it's like what Jonathan Rosenblum was talking about on the show last week, where he said, people who have focus and say, okay, this is what I'm going to, you can just go through your life and go through the motions or whatever. Excuse me. But if you have a conscious, like, oh, here's my goal, then every time there's doubt of what to do, you keep coming back to making decisions that forward your goal. And that's a little bit what we're talking about. It's beautiful. And I love the conscious because it's kind of like she was saying, robot. There's kind of fall into routines. And there's an expression, it's called, we build our institutions, like our schools and our shuls and whatever. We build our institutions, and then our institutions build us. It's so powerful because it's kind of like we lay like you talk a lot about vessels when we were doing our pre-show interview, and I love that word. And we build these vessels, and then they, without us thinking, we go on about our rote and our routine and whatever, they build us. And now what you're saying is a new vessel is to be conscious with choosing to do what is in front of you, and not choosing, help me out here.
Yeah, well, now, since you brought up vessels, my school is called the Nexus School of Transformational Torah for Women. The Nexus is a meeting point. It's where light meets vessel. And no, that's not even what I had in mind when I named it. But as I do this work, what I'm seeing is that as a woman, we have light. We have light we want to bring to the world. We want to bring to our husband. We want to bring to our kids, obviously, our friends, our communities, the world. And at the same time, in order for that to go well, we need to create and craft the vessels to receive our light. So before you made a talk show, like what did you do with all of that, that you wanted to give the world? Or before I made my school, it takes work to build the vessels. But when we get that, there's a vessel that matches the light we want to give and who we become. And I think this is foundational because as women, one of the things we're taught is that we are receivers. And that is true. We have the capacity for deep receptivity, and that's the softness of femininity, that, to be that sweet wife, that feminine essence that people are missing so much sometimes. But I think that that's also limiting because we're not just receivers. I was on a conversation with Rabbi Dr. Akiva Tatz recently, and I was asking him questions, I like to get to the mystical stuff, and then understand things from there. So I asked him, and I haven't said this anywhere. My community is going to go crazy to hear me say this, Leah, and it's your zchut in the merit of you. But the sources say that at the end of days, the moon represents the feminine, everything feminine, the 30-day cycle, the waxing and waning, hormones, and the ability to receive the light of the sun. And it's a very feminine energy, the moon. And the sun is like constantly emitting light, and masculine is, doesn't have the same kinds of evolution as femininity. But the sources say that at the end of days, when Mashiach comes, the light of the moon will be as bright as the light of the sun. In Isaiah chapter 30, verse 26, I think it is. Look it up. So I asked Rabbi Tatz, I said, so tell me, what does that mean? When the moon is as great as the sun, does that mean it's going to be the biggest receiver that it can possibly be and receive? Imagine if the moon received all the light of the sun, it would be like a sun. We wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So maybe that's what it means. Or maybe it means it's going to have its own light. So what do you think it is? Let me put it to your listeners.
It's gorgeous.
Well, my very strong side says, of course, it's going to have its own light because, we are women, hear us roar. So obviously we're going to be like lighting up. Once we get our power back, we're going to be, shining brighter than obviously anything else. But then, of course, my Leah Richeimer Marriage Secret, trying to be the good wife, is saying, no, we're just going to be such a great receiver. We're going to absorb all the light of the sun and our husbands.
Very, very well said. Exactly the conundrum that, you didn't answer it, but you spoke out what.
I tried not to answer it, Leah. I'm trying to be nice.
So let's hear. And we've got to get to we're halfway done and we haven't even
Yes, we're almost done. So basically, should we leave this?
No, you have to give the answer. Come on, are you kidding me? Hello?
Oh, you don't really want the answer. No one really wants the answer.
Yeah, of course we want the answer.
No, I'm joking. Okay.
Oh, I was like, what? You confused me for a second. Okay, yeah. Now she's going to hold us ransom. How much do we have to pay you to tell us? Okay.
All right. Well, the truth is there's so much. So I think, let me give it over quick. Then what I want to do is I just want to summarize everything we've said with 5 myth busters. It's going to go fast. It's just 5 statements. You can write it down, and then we're getting to the superpowers. Okay, cool.
Good.
All right. So the answer is not only will we be able to receive, but we will have our own light. We will have our own light. And I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. Needs more to unpack and to create the vessels to hold our light, so we know how to wield that power that's emerging in us. And this is the critical point, is that if women are rising, the rise of the divine feminine, and you can just observe in the past 100 years what's happened, in terms of, it's a woman's world now, how much change that we've endured in a good way. as I said, not without its, fallouts. But the question is, if women have gone through so much change, that means that marriage, relationship, is in a state of flux and in a state of transition. Because for the bulk of history, there was a certain status quo, and all of that has been disrupted and upset in the past 100 years.
That's your question, because I'm the comment, "It's a woman's world," makes me want to cry. I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to tap into my feelings and understand what's going on with me, but somehow that makes me so sad. I think, and I'm not sure, I think it's because with the feminist movement, since all history, the man was the king of the house and he sat on his throne, and the woman got up and served him dishes and, whatever. That's how it was for 3,000 years. And women just took him, pulled the guy off his throne, threw them out on the gutter. He's lying there. He's getting sewage pouring by him or whatever. And the woman standing inside the house alone, sobbing her eyes out because she has no partner.
Yeah.
So, that and that whole thing, and part of what we've been trying to do in giving our Masorah back is teaching a woman that her deepest needs are met when she has somebody who she can look up to. And she said, "Oh, I can't look up to him. He can't even change a diaper. He can't even find the mustard in the fridge. Whatever. And he hurt me and he said this and, whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, I get it. I hear it. Got it." But if a woman takes him and she puts her husband back on the throne, all of the needs that she so desperately is upset that she's not getting, all of her needs will be met. It's guaranteed. We have a 3,000-year-old track record, bulletproof track record to make a woman, and I have thousands of letters of saying this. So I'm not saying anything against what you're saying whatsoever. I'm asking you to explain to me my sadness about the comment that it's a woman's world. I don't want a world where it's a woman's world. I want a world.
Yeah. So I'm so touched.
You're coming from me, who's like,
my right hand person for 5 years, 6 years.
I was gonna say that's great, but no, coming from me, who's like, everything's about me and the women and being in control and so on and so forth.
Okay.
I so like my neshama so feels what you're saying and says like, I don't want that anymore. Like I want to have my husband back where he needs to be. I don't want him out in the gutter kind of thing. I think that's why I so relate to what you teach, because I'm looking for that sort of ancient, put him back where he belongs. So
Yeah.
I'm with you on this.
So I'm sorry because I totally interrupted what you were saying, but I was having all these emotions.
No, you totally didn't. In fact, you read my very next, you said it like word for word, which is why I am so moved, because, this is what I'm talking about with truth and power. Truth resonates, truth hits the heart. Truth is something we all feel. And when I said that, I didn't mean that in the way that you thought. I meant that exactly what you said, that if a woman, if she gets this sort of power, which is not holy power, it's ego-based power, and she gets out of touch with that other side of her, that Sarit is saying, we don't want that, right? What do we want? We want those connections. We want our femininity, not, God forbid, feminism, right? So this is exactly the dynamic, is that a woman doesn't know how to create that relationship, and then she doesn't have it. And there's something called emasculization, right? So she's put on
off. She takes
exactly. So and it's with dating and it's with marriage. The woman's so powerful. Mm-hmm. It's not the power we're talking about, and no one wins. So that's not what I'm talking about. So sorry, I'm glad you clarified that, and we're totally on the same page.
Good. Yay. Okay, good.
Yeah. All right. So basically, I was just saying that if women are going through so much evolution, this is an opportunity for marriage and relationship to evolve to match that awesome potential. And it's not just, it's power. Forget that word for a minute. Just put in truth, who we really are, the gifts Hashem gave us, what it is we want to bring to the world, the love in our hearts, the light in our souls. That's what I'm talking about with power. and love and relationship, the more the former rises, the truth, who we are, coming into our essence, coming into our light, the more that rises, it's not that relationships will suffer, it's that marriage will reach incredible new vistas and potential and intimacy than ever. Than ever. So we good? We all
on page. Fantastic.
Okay. Great. So, but while we're going through, we're at the cold phase. We're in this state of flux. We're in this transition. There's confusion. There's pain.
Cold phase? We're in the cold. Oh, cold.
We're at cold phase. Like we're like these forces are like colliding. And
what does cold phase mean?
I don't know.
It's like the juncture, you mean? I'm
we're
sorry,
like,
I want to make sure I follow.
Yeah, like, you know, where the rubber meets the road, like when we get real, like getting real. Like if I say intimacy, one, you know, is everybody saying, yeah, totally, you know, we have this. Or are we saying like, wait, where is that? You know, we feel this potential, but why are we not manifesting it? Why is this not a reality for all of us?
I got it. Okay, good. Sorry, I didn't need to. I just want to make sure I'm following you. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm really enjoying connecting. Okay, so the 5 myth busters. One, this is just review. Feminine power is not masculine power. Cool?
Awesome.
Cool.
Write that
down. Feminine values are not just for women.
Interesting.
It's not about, are you a woman or you a man? Feminine values is something that we're all rising in and we're celebrating, and it's bringing healing energy to the world. Feminine values are delicious, are gorgeous, are a taste of Shabbos. I don't know. Leah, help me out here. Like, what are some feminine values? I see you're resonating. Like, what are you thinking?
No, I'm just saying that, you know, there's a harshness and a whatever, and it's a masculine energy or whatever, and that's very needed and very important, and it's been pushed down a little too much in the last century. I don't mean meanness. I mean deliberate, you know, almost without thinking, like let's make this happen. You know, that kind of a masculinity. But the feminine is just kind of, okay, I hear what you're saying, but maybe think about this and maybe think about that. And, you know, it's just something, just beautiful flowers, you know, it's just a flower, you know? I'm totally with you.
Yeah. So it's the values of relationship, of empathy, of presence, connection, forgiveness, compassion, you know, so we need, you know, we need to get things done. We need that forward, like, you know, step-by-step sort of masculine energy too. And we need to celebrate the masculine because that's how we put our kings on their thrones. You know, it's not about who's better. The world needs us both, and we work beautifully together, and every person has within them feminine and masculine. But I just thought that was worth mentioning. Okay. So feminine values are not just for women. It's something that the world is approaching. Shabbos Kodesh, the ultimate redemption, is like the Shabbos of the world. And we say Boi Kala, you know, the Shabbos queen, the Shabbos bride, that's all feminine. And this is something to celebrate and to share with our men. You know, it's rising in them too. And men are getting in touch with their emotions, and they're self-aware, and they're connecting. Like, they also want that relationship. Whereas maybe a couple of years ago,
okay, it wasn't that way. Yeah, no, I also wanted to give a little caveat there because I spent a lot of time talking about how, you know, modern psychology, which I think is fantastic, to help a lot of people to develop and understand their truth better and understand themselves better. But there is an angle of modern psychology which says, you know, a little kid, he does this, and you need to treat him with just the feminine. You need, what's wrong, sweetie? Why did you do that? Why did you hit that girl? You know, no. Sometimes you need the masculine to come and say, that was wrong, go to your room, you know. So there has to be a balance. And even as you're saying that there is more feminine, also, it doesn't mean at the exclusion of the masculine. Okay, let's go to the next myth, and then let's quickly get
Okay, next, there's no gender war. It's not a competition. It's not a gender war, right? We're all in this together. We're like creating our relationships, our marriages. We celebrate life, right? We celebrate soul. We celebrate.
How does a person who's been brainwashed since the day they were born that it's a gender war, right? Because that is really what we think we're in right now, and the race war, and all these wars, because they sell newspapers, because like the more dramatic whatever, maybe for a lot of other reasons too, maybe because of oppression. I'm not political. I hate politics, whatever, but I'm just saying, if you've had a lifetime of feeling like it's been a gender war, how do you step aside on the side of that? Like, help me here.
Yeah, so I think we're going to get to it in the superpowers, but it's an invitation. If you feel like you're in a gender war, this is an invitation to step out of ego, to peel that fruit, get in touch with your truth and what you really want. And gender wars, nobody wins, as you said, nobody wins. There's something much deeper happening here. And this is an invitation, as you said at the beginning, into consciousness, into conscious choice, into our potential.
So you're saying recognizing it. You're saying recognizing it, it can help you get on the other side of it, to recognize that.
Yeah, the way you get out of the gender war is you get into your superpowers as a woman, and you're automatically out of the gender war.
Got it. Okay, fine.
Okay. All right, you're almost there.
Okay, good.
Okay, the next myth we're debunking: you don't have to choose between love or power. Power as we defined it. But as you rise in your authentic, holy power, your love has infinitely more potential to create deeply fulfilling relationships with respect and with connection. So the more we grow, the more we're able to cultivate amazing relationships. Okay?
So say that again. You don't have to choose between power and love.
Yeah, we were talking before that, like, there was a time in history when women were so traditional, in the kitchen, and right, and they wanted expression, and there's a part of the soul that wants that there's truth there, right? But then they thought, remember we were talking about this, they had to make a choice between either this or that. And that's what I'm saying. You don't have to make a choice.
Okay,
you can have them both. You must have them both.
Did you have a question? She's waiting. No, okay, just keep going. Okay.
Okay. All right, let's move on. So who are we? Who are we really? What are our superpowers? All right. So
Adam, put a drum roll or something.
Okay, so I want to tell all women out there, first of all, Leah, you are such a role model.
Oh, please don't even start. Okay, Ken, go on.
Superpowers. I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to appreciate you, because that's what the feminine does. I just wanted to appreciate you and who you are and what you're doing. And it's just been such a privilege and honor to get to know you. And Hashem should continue to bless you with incredible success in your mission.
Oh, man. Wow. That was worth the whole show. Just a thank you. That's good. And I think it's very mutual. I just am really inspired by you and just find you a complete light into the world. And I'm really excited to have you on. So it's good. Although I'm thinking I'm wondering, okay, well, let's just go. But I'm thinking we have to do a part 2, because how is she going to, and also how she, and they're both.
There's so much, and it's such a good topic, and it's so important. And every time now that the Rebbetzin Tamar says, your superpowers, I just keep thinking in my head automatically. I shift it to feminine consciousness. And that's just become my, I don't care about superpower anymore. Just to totally.
Femininity, you mean?
Yes, he flipped the switch in my head. I don't care to have superpowers. I'm like, I want to have my feminine consciousness. That's
okay, that's a watershed.
Wow.
So we don't need to use those words anymore. We're talking about feminine here. Awesome.
Yeah, maybe we should change the name of the show. Okay. No, whatever. It is what it is. Okay, so good. So, okay, let's start with number 1.
Okay, so basically, this is exactly it, that we're going back to basics, and the Torah defines feminine qualities, and they are awesome. And those are the superpowers that I'm talking about. And instead of saying, what does society expect? What does my mother expect? My friend, my husband, from the outside leading in, we're going from the inside leading out. So these are the superpowers, the powers of the feminine soul. They are awesome. And they all work together. So you access one, you develop one, you automatically lift them all. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready?
Definitely ready.
All right, more than ready. So
Let me just ask you, is the Rebbetzin available to do part 2? Because what I'm wondering, because you said that you have you said you have a superpower, and then each one has 3 ways to get that superpower. How are we going to do that in 11 minutes, standing on one foot? And also talk about your new transformational series that we're going to bring up, and we're going to have a special offer for everybody and whatever. Like,
yeah, we definitely need a part 2.
Like, I'm putting her on the spot.
Yeah, a huge shout out to my sister who just came on Instagram.
Oh, hi, Gina. It's Dina. Oh, Davari. Hi. Very nice. Okay, good. Okay. All right. So just go. We'll see what we can.
Okay. Well, first of all, I thought we had to the top of the hour, but
we do, but we can't finish in. Oh, maybe we can. I don't want to rush through it. So I hit you this at the last minute because I'm just looking at the clock and saying we haven't even gotten to the 5. So maybe we should go to part 2. I should have talked to you about this beforehand, that was even a potential possibility. But Sarit said it to me before the show. I said, you should see the notes I got from her. How are we going to do it? And she said, maybe we should do a part 2. I should have told you before we went on the air so I wouldn't blast you with it. Anyway, okay, we're wasting.
All right, let's see. You know what? Everyone's here. They want those 5. Let's see what we can do. And we can always come back and visit more another time.
Fine, okay.
All right. So I'll give them to you all, and then we'll start to take a look at them. Okay. So the first one that I chose, and somebody else may have different wording, but the first one that I chose is the power of influence. The power of influence. And this is something I'm directly speaking to because a woman needs to feel that for a woman, power is to empower. Power is to empower, to influence, to heal the world, the people around us. That's what relationships are for. They build, they heal, they transform. That's a woman's gift. So there's 3 ways to influence. There's from below.
Wait, before you get to that, I just want to say from a feminist mindset of what one would think, it's like, oh, you're telling me I only can be the co-captain? Like I'm just going to influence what the captain's going to do, but I can't. I want to be the captain. I want to be the king. I don't want to be the queen and support him. I want to be the king. I've had this said to me, I can't tell you, maybe a dozen times over the years of a woman, and I don't want to be co-captain. Okay, I do it better than him. I'm better at finances. I'm better at managing this and managing that. If we do it for him, our life is going to go down the tubes. I want to be the captain. Why not? Rebbetzin, you tell me, why not?
Oh, this thing is so cosmic. Your question is so painful. It's so painful because I think so many women have this question, and this is a real question. This is a real question, and it takes courage to ask that question. And this is exactly what you'll tell them about my course, but this is exactly this is the course, and the paradigm shifts that come out, I can't even describe. I'm trying my best to give you as much as I can. But that's what I was saying before about the end of days. Now the sun is big and the moon is small and the moon is dark, and right. But at the end of days, there's going to be these 2 brilliant luminaries, and the Torah says that they're going to be sharing a crown. Sharing a crown. It's not about him or her. Remember, we're not talking about a gender war. We're talking about the truth that there's feminine and masculine forces in creation, and they were created to be total unity, total oneness, total equality. And if anything, if you want a myth buster, just take a look at our matriarchs. Just take a look at Sarah, when she tells Abraham, this is how it has to be. And Hashem says, Abraham, listen to your wife. And the sages say that her level of prophecy was higher than that of Abraham. And then you go to the next one, you go to Rivka, and she tricked Isaac to get the right blessings, to go to the right sons, and again and again and again and again. And then with Jacob, with Yaakov, how Rachel and Leah were in cahoots that he would marry the wrong one, like without fail, the women were the ones creating history. So where we get in our mind that we're small, that we don't have influence, that we're not it, it's not even, I don't even know where we get that from.
Right.
Okay.
Beautiful.
But,
got it.
Right. So the goal is oneness. All right. Anyway, there's more to say, but so there's 3 ways to influence. Should I go into the detail, or do you just want the general?
So I think we should do so here's the question. Is Rebbetzin available to do part 2 of this show? And we'll do the second half on that, because I'd rather than blaze through it, give them the data, and then they're left scratching their head. I really want to flesh it out.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. You know, maybe people have some questions, want to digest. You know, this is big stuff. It takes time, and it's a lot of light, and it needs the right vessels.
There you go. Yes. Okay. So good. So
right. I'm fine. I could relax, and we can just see where are people at. What are their questions? What do they need right now? We can.
So I think let's do number 1, and maybe we'll even get to number 2, and then we'll go in deeper, and we'll have questions in between that will flesh it out. I think that's better, and I hope I'm speaking for everybody here. You don't just want a listing and then you go home and you won't know what to do with it. Whereas if we flesh it out, even if you understand one very well, I think is going to serve you better than having a bullet list that you don't understand. Okay, so let's go. So you said the 3. So yeah, explain the 3.
Okay, great. All right, I feel calmer now. Great. Good. So the first one is influence. And this is really, really interesting. I mean, this is my favorite topic. But for the sake of just getting out something practical, how do you access your power of influence? How do you become an influencer? First of all, it's an art form, right? That we don't borrow, again, a masculine system where, power means control. As soon as we're in control, we're out of it. We've fallen out of it. As soon as we're trying to control anything, as soon as we're out of like faith and relationship, we've fallen out of it. Superpower is superpower. It's like coming from some higher realm. So the first way.
Wait, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you.
Okay.
I just want to get to this control issue because we have a lot of shows. We have, what do we have? Do you micromanage your husband? What other shows we have? A lot of shows on that issue.
So many. That's look at the whole lineup.
Yeah, because from a former control freak, like as if it's in my past, okay? Allow, the control aspect of it. Women feel like if they give up control, it's terrifying, because the one time they gave control, their husband bought the wrong car that broke down. They had said, no, I want this car, and he wanted that car, and they said, okay, I'm going to do what the Rambam said, which is to respect your husband exceedingly. I'm going to follow our Masorah, and I'm going to let go of control. And then the husband buys the wrong car, and they spend all winter long in the shop back and forth with this used car that they bought that she didn't want. So women are terrified to give up control. Other people I've heard are, right? And it's great to give up control. So the question is, from what you're saying, it's true, but it's the obstacles to giving up that control are so great that getting to the influence it's not even on the table right now because we're so busy micromanaging and control.
Right. Well, if you would consider that the more control you have, the less influence.
That's good. That's very good.
Okay, now again, let's define it.
That's a meme. Ilana. Okay, we'll put your name on it. Don't worry. Okay, so go ahead.
So we have to define influence. So in Hebrew, there's 2 words for leadership. One is masculine, one is feminine. The Hebrew word for feminine leadership, everything is in the Torah, is malchut, melech. We're coming up to Rosh Hashanah now, right? We want to make Hashem melech, want to make Hashem king. What does that mean? Is that we choose him consciously. So if you're controlling someone, they might do what you say, but they're not doing it consciously, willingly. And that's why it's an intimacy killer. So the definition of feminine influence is to evoke, to magnetize, to inspire, to draw it out by creating the environment that it just like comes out of your husband's heart. He just wants to buy you those flowers, and he wants to say, which car do you want? And where do you want to live, and which house do you want? And like it's that magnetizing power of drawing out what you want to see. It's the opposite when you put on those boots, and those pants, and what we were talking about with the power discussion before, and your husband like wilts and he like implodes into himself and runs into his cave, and you're like, what's with you? You're like, all collapsed. So this is the opposite. Feminine influence is profoundly world-changing because it draws out the best of the people around you. I saw a beautiful quote somewhere.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
That, like when you're in influence, you're not creating followers. You're creating other influencers who continue to continue that spiral of positive healing influence rippling out into the world. So when you influence somebody in that way, you then give them that magic and they can go and do that for someone else. And everyone's just bringing out the best in each other. Awesome. And it's not like this ego thing, I'm the boss and I call the shots. But
it reminds me for corporate women who are listening, it's kind of like, I'm sure you all know, when you went into your first board meeting and try and get the whole staff and all the teams and the other vice presidents and whatever to do what you think of your idea. It's called getting buy-in. You don't just walk in there and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. Everyone's going to try to thwart you behind your back. Whereas if you get buy-in and say, well, what do you think? And what do you think? And you know what you think. You have your agenda, whatever. But then somebody else from the group suggests exactly what you had hoped that they would suggest. And then you give them all the credit. You give them all the buy-in. Everybody else buys in. And that is how you accomplish a lot more. It's not a manipulation. That's not what you're talking about at all.
Well, one step further, if you don't mind me interrupting you.
Yeah, for sure.
One step further is that in order to give this over to others, you have to be living it, which means that you have to really have within yourself the potential to be influenced. So if you have, this is what you want somebody to say, you're going to give them the credit, you still haven't fully let go of you're not opening yourself up to the possibilities of maybe something new will come into that space. And that's really that spirit of collaboration. So a real leader is humble in that it's real, like you're entering into this field of potential transformation all around.
Vulnerable. It's vulnerable. It's
vulnerable. It's real. Yeah.
That's gorgeous. Okay, we have a question from if I don't know where it's from. She's flagging me.
No. People are just asking that how. I mean, this is going to be so big, and I guess this is what it's going to be. Maybe it's going to end us right here. But how does somebody get to that when, as someone's writing, if you've been so ingrained in the other way the whole time? Where if you want to get your opinion across, you have to shout it above the ruckus, and you have to make sure to dig your feet in and say, this is how it's going to be. And if you don't take the control, then, how do you get past it now? How do you rework your entire makeup?
Wow. So I'm so glad you brought this up, Sarit, because really the power of influence is something that you source from a very divine realm. And to become a king or a leader or an influencer, you need to be connecting to Hashem, to God, to your higher power. That's where you're drawing that. When you get a download and you have a vision and you see something you want to happen and the potential in someone or something, it's coming from your soul, which is a very high place. So just going back to your question is that if you want to bring people into a new culture, a new possibility of engagement, you don't use their rules. If they're shouting, if you just shout louder, you're with them. You're not a leader. You're not an influencer. So you want to draw them into a new way of being. The Torah calls that a kol dmama daka, a still small voice. Still small voice, like a soft, feminine, strong, rooted, connected. And the Torah says that somebody who speaks in a calm, gentle way, his words are received. So this is just beautiful to explore and to really think. And I feel like we're really just opening up a huge possibility here. what's possible for us.
So before we end here, I want to get from you an exact first of all, how can people reach you? And then tell us about you, or Sarit, you were going to tell about the offer that only Ladies Talk Show people can get in on this course that's starting, or whatever. But tell us first how people can reach you and learn more from you.
Yeah, sure. So I have a school, the Nexus School of Transformational Torah for Women. And we're really looking at this whole concept of like coming into superpowers. I've never used that word before this show, but it's right on topic. And it's really cosmic, it's really deep, but it's very practical because it's our lives, it's our relationships, you know. And I have a whole series based on the woman in Torah. We start with Chava, and we all know that she was the one that messed up, and now we're the ones that are making it all better again. But I would say just how people can you can go online. So my website,
it's the Nexus.
My website, thenexus.org, -rise series. And you'll see there.
What's the one that you're offering a special?
Yeah, now is the one that she's offering actually is just for it's being offered, but we're also going to have a special deal for our Ladies Talk Show viewers. Is the first 3 sessions of this Chava series is free for anyone to watch, which is amazing. The whole month of Elul, which is this whole month now. You can watch it at thenexus.org/rise series /Chava. CHAVA, and we will post.
We'll post in the link on the website. Yeah, good. Okay.
Plus, for the next 3 days only, and this is a big one, Rebbetzin Tamar Taback course is going to be available at 40% off. You'll get $100 off if you use the code TalkShow. TalkShow, one word. Use that code, and you will get $100 off for the course. So if you even a little bit of what the Rebbetzin just said today was mind-blowing, you can have the course.
All of that, right? all of that. And so that's for the next 3 days. So sign up now if you'd like to do that. And again, the first 3 ones are free. The first 3 shows of it, 3 sessions of it are free. So that's fantastic. And also we're going to have you on for part 2. So don't go off the line after we.
Yes, and if you want to reach us, info@thenexus.org. You can't find the website, something, whatever. Info@thenexus.org.
Okay, that's fantastic. We're going to have to end here, but I just want you to know, Dainu, just this first section with only one of the superpowers. Gorgeous. I think it was a transformational, both in terms of insight and in terms of actions that we can take. It's a game changer. I'm very, very grateful to you for elucidating some of these points that there's so much confusion today, so much from the ground up. Everybody is confused and not knowing their roles, and this really shed light on this whole area. We'll get to the 4 other superpowers in our part 2 of the 5 superpowers. Thank you, Rebbetzin, so much for coming with us. We loved having you.
Thank you so much, and just all the best to everybody.
Okay, all right. Lots of love. This is Leah Richeimer for the Ladies Talk Show. We'll see you next time. Here's the thing, ladies. If you don't subscribe, you may miss out and you're going to miss some great content. So you need to either like us or follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, on Torah Anytime, on YouTube, or go right to our website, www.ladiestalkshow.com, and fill in a subscription button. And then you'll get every week an update on exactly what's happening. And if you do that, oh, by the way, if you subscribe on our website, you also get 10 tips to have a great relationship. Don't miss it. And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks a lot.